Helmuth von Moltke, centuries ago, came up with an expression that you've probably heard. Every plan fails on first contact with the enemy. Now, there's way more thinking he did behind that. And the bottom line is, it doesn't matter how hard we plan, how long our planning cycle is, how much analysis we do, your plan will always be wrong. And it's always going to be wrong for one of three friction points in the strategy planning process that Helmuth talked about. So the way that we think of overall planning is, we're looking for some outcomes. And in the OKR world, of course, that's what we say down as our O of OKRs. Those outcomes then allow us to lay down plans on how we're going to achieve them. And those plans inform activities and actions, and those actions inform the outcomes. And so that's what's supposed to happen. Now, in fact, it's kind of a two-way street. As you begin developing those plans, you discover that maybe I'm going to end up with slightly different outcomes. As I take those actions, I'm going to see that there needs to be some changes to my plans. And the outcomes that I get might infer that I need to take different actions. So it's kind of a two-way street. Conceptually, the outcomes kind of tell us the intent of the organization. The plans tell us what, and the actions tell us how. That part makes sense. Here's where the friction points are. Friction point number one is that there's always a knowledge gap, right? There's a difference between what we know and what we'd like to know. So, for example, in 2019, we didn't know that COVID was about to hit. We would like to know that, but we didn't. And therefore, whatever plans we put in effect will never be perfect because we don't know everything about the events which will transpire. The second friction point is the achievement gap. And that is there's always a difference between what we think is going to occur with our plans and what actually occurs. So, people, software, structures will never accomplish exactly what we had in our plans. Then the third friction point is that there's an effects gap. So we take an action that we hope is going to achieve something, but we never know what they will actually achieve. And so that gap means that we can never accurately predict how the world is going to react to what we do. And so because of these three friction gaps, it doesn't matter how much time you spend planning, you can never get it right because I don't have complete knowledge, because I don't know exactly what's going to happen through the achievement of our teams. And lastly, we don't know what the world's going to do as response to that, the effective gap. So part of the trick here is don't try to overplan, but understand we need agility. So as soon as we find our outcomes are different, we can adjust our plans. As soon as we find our actions aren't getting what we want, we can adjust our plans and so forth. So it's all about agility, not about further analysis.